The World Cup just got a lot bigger, and depending on who you ask, that's either the best thing to happen to football or the beginning of the end. This year, for the first time ever, 48 countries are competing for the title. Not 32, not 36, 48. So how did we get here? Why did FIFA blow up a format that had worked perfectly fine for decades and is? This actually good for the sport or just good for FIFA's bank account? Let's break it down. Here's where it starts. The World Cup wasn't always 32 teams. When it first kicked off in 1930, only 13 countries showed up. 13. It grew slowly over the decades. 16 teams, then 24, then 32. That 3-2 team format stuck around from 1998 all the way through Qatar 2022. 24 years. For an organization like FIFA, that's practically forever. So when they announced the jump to 48, people had questions. The official reason, and FIFA will say this loudly and proudly, is global inclusion. For years, smaller football nations felt like they were locked out. Think about it. Europe alone had 13 slots. South America had 4.5. Meanwhile, the entire continent of Africa got 5. Asia got 4.5. The Caribbean, Central America, and Oceania were practically fighting over scraps. And yet football had been growing massively in those regions. Countries were investing in academies, coaching, infrastructure, and still the door barely opened. The 4-8 team format changes that. Countries like Cape Verde, Uzbekistan, Haiti, and Curacao now have a realistic path to qualify nations that had never even dreamed of standing on that stage. Here's where it gets interesting. The format itself is genuinely new. It's not just add more teams and call it a day. The 48 teams are split into 12 groups of 4 teams each. The top 2 from every group advance automatically. But here's the twist. The 8 best third-place finishers also move on, so you can finish third in your group and still stay alive. Under the old system, that was impossible. You finished third, you went home, you cried. On the plane. Now, third place might just be the start of something. Instead of 16 teams advancing to the knockout rounds, 32 teams move forward. That's a completely different tournament. Now, let's talk about the number that FIFA definitely doesn't hate. The 2026 World Cup features 104 matches. That's 40 more games than Qatar 2022. And FIFA is reportedly expecting revenues approaching $9 billion this cycle. $9 billion. Critics will tell you, and they're not wrong, that this expansion has less to do with football development and more to do with a very large spreadsheet. More games means more tickets. More tickets means more sponsors. More sponsors means more money. FIFA insists the 2 goals aren't mutually exclusive. You can grow the game and make money at the same time. In theory, sure. In practice, well, draw your own conclusions. There's a man worth mentioning here. Arsène Wenger. You might know him as the guy who managed Arsenal for 22 years. These days, he's FIFA's chief of global football development. And he's been one of the loudest voices defending the expansion. Wenger said FIFA had to open the World Cup to the world, bringing in more African and Asian countries, because the goal is for football to be strong everywhere. He talks about traveling the globe and seeing how much football has exploded in regions that used to be ignored. And he makes a fair point. If football genuinely wants to be the world's game, maybe the world should actually be in it. But this isn't without criticism. And the critics aren't just grumpy traditionalists. There are real, legitimate concerns. First, player welfare. The finalists in 2026 will play up to 8 games to win the trophy. That's 1 more than before. And when you consider that most top European leagues start back up just a month after the final, players are being asked to do a lot. Reports have flagged serious concerns about recovery time and the growing risk of injury for players already stretched thin by packed club schedules. Second concern, sporting quality. Under this format, a team could draw all 3 of their group stage games and still advance to the knockout rounds. Think about that. You play 3 matches, don't win a single one, and you're still in the tournament. For a competition that's supposed to crown the best team on the planet, that's a weird sentence to read. And then there's the scale of this whole thing. This isn't just a bigger tournament. It's a genuinely enormous logistical operation. The 2026 World Cup is being hosted across 3 countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, spanning 16 cities, multiple time zones. For a fan traveling to see their team, this World Cup isn't a trip. It's a project. So here's the real question. Is 48 teams better? And the honest answer is, it depends on what you value. If you care about the global spread of football, about giving nations from every corner of the world a real shot at the biggest stage, then yes, this is progress. Real, meaningful progress. If you care purely about competitive intensity, about every group game feeling like a knife fight, then you might miss the old format. You might watch a third-place team sneak into the round of 32, having never won a match, and wonder what we're doing here. We started with a simple question, why 48 teams? And the answer is complicated. Because it's about 2 things at once. It's about genuinely opening football to the world. And it's about FIFA making more money than they ever have before. Both of those things are true. Both of those things were always going to be true. The only question worth asking now is whether the football itself, out there on the pitch, across 104 matches in 3 countries, lives up to the promise. We're about to find out. If you want to understand the sport beyond the headlines, how tournaments work, why decisions get made, what actually changes the game, subscribe. We break it all down every time. And do not forget the like for the video. See you